Picture this, standing knee-deep in the rich, loamy soil that's been in my family for generations, the kind that clings to your boots like a loyal old dog, feeling the weight of history in every granule, passed down through calloused hands that turned barren earth into bounty. And suddenly there's this piece of paper shoved in my face, a ridiculous $12,000 penalty for rules that aren't even on the books, all because my nosy neighbor decided my eco-friendly farm was ruining her picture-perfect dream life, her complaints stacking like storm clouds, each one a thunderclap threatening to wash away decades of toil. And right then, with the scent of fertile earth and distant rain hanging heavy in the air, mixing with the faint bitterness of betrayal, I knew this was war, a quiet, seething battle for the soul of the land. But she had no clue who she was really up against. No idea that beneath my farmer's tan and dirt-streaked overalls beat the heart of someone trained to unravel schemes far darker than suburban spite. My name is Ethan Caldwell, and I'm the third in line to till this 35-acre sustainable produce farm tucked away in the rolling hills of countryside Virginia, a place my grandpa claimed back in 1945 after the war, his boots still echoing with the mud of foreign fields, transforming what was once a rundown orchard into a thriving haven of fresh greens and herbs that feeds half the local folks around here. Rows of vibrant kale and heirloom tomatoes stretching under the sun like a living tapestry. The aroma of early morning brew in our weathered kitchen, dark and robust, kicking me awake at the crack of dawn just like it did for him, strong enough to chase away the ghosts of a hard night's rest, each sip a reminder of resilience forged in tougher times. These days, it's me and my 15-year-old daughter Ava holding the fort since my wife left us too soon 4 years back, her memory lingering in every sunrise we chased together, in the way Ava's laughter echoes across the fields like her mother's once did, the sharp echo of crates stacking onto the old pickup, wooden slats groaning under the weight of dewy produce, the low hum of the engine firing up as we prep for market. It's our symphony, our unbreakable routine, the pulse of real, honest labor. That keeps us grounded, binding us closer in the face of loss, until Lauren Whitaker showed up 6 months ago and turned it all into a nightmare, her arrival like a shadow creeping over the horizon. This 48-year-old widow from urban Baltimore, flush with inheritance cash that spoke of old money and easy luxuries, snapped up the neighboring 4-acre leisure plot in her spotless silver Mercedes that screamed city slicker, its polished chrome glaring under the rural sun, stepping out in those impractical stilettos that sank into the gravel like reluctant anchors, eyeing my fields like they were a blight on her horizon, her gaze sharp and appraising, as if calculating how to reshape the landscape to fit her sanitized vision. And from day one, with a tray of clearly bakery-bought muffins, price tags still peeking out, which cracked me up inside, a small spark of humor amid the brewing tension, she flashed that too-bright grin, chattering about embracing the serene country vibe, saying it like she'd rehearsed it in front of a mirror, her words dripping with feigned enthusiasm, all while plotting how to erase the grit that makes this life real, the authentic mess of mud and manure that she viewed as an affront to her refined sensibilities. She dreamed of a polished pastoral escape, the filtered kind for social media feeds, manicured lawns and ornamental gardens without the rooster's call piercing the quiet at first light or the earthy tang of compost enriching the breeze, a fantasy where nature bowed to aesthetics and the gripes poured in fast, a snide letter about my hens clucking too early, claiming some phantom quiet hour law even out here in the sticks, her handwriting elegant but venomous, then frantic calls, alleging my drainage was poisoning her pristine lawn, when in truth, my setup, grandfathered in since the 50s and kept pristine through organic certification for over a decade, runs water so pure it could bottle and sell, crystal clear streams that nourished roots without a trace of harm. But facts didn't matter to Lauren. Oh no, she was on a crusade, her eyes narrowing with each perceived offense, escalating to a scathing report to the State Farming Bureau accusing me of dumping toxic fertilizers that endangered the whole watershed, stuff I'd never touch. Not with folks eating my harvest, the accusation hitting like a gut punch, questioning not just my methods but my integrity as a steward of the earth. And when the checker, a solid guy named Sanchez, rolled up expecting a horror show based on her dramatics, his truck kicking up dust that settled like a veil over the confrontation. I laid out hours of proof, lab results glowing with purity, permits yellowed with age, logs meticulously kept in leather-bound journals, leaving him nodding in awe, admitting it was the gold standard of clean ops he'd seen, his departure a small victory. Yet the shadow of doubt lingered. Yet the system's grind doesn't stop for innocence, forcing me to shell out $1,800 for a legal chat that should have gone to fixing the harvester or padding Ava's future, the bills piling like unwanted weeds, all while Lauren paraded as the valiant guardian on her new online forum, Safeguard Our Country Charm, posting pics of my vintage rig calling it a polluting beast endangering the peace, twisting my wholesome setup into some monster factory with clever edits and inflammatory captions. Splintering neighbors, old-timers backed me fierce, their loyalty a balm against the sting, but fresh city escapees started murmuring. Maybe she had a case. Maybe my ways were too raw for their idyllic bubble, the whispers eroding community ties like acid rain. The injustice burned deep. You see, 3 lineages of sweat and sacrifice feeding this town, calluses earned through floods and droughts. And overnight, I'm the bad guy, my heart twisting with that quiet fury, the kind that simmers like a storm building on the horizon, protective instincts flaring for Ava, who deserved better than this shadow over her childhood home. Wondering how one outsider could wield red tape like a weapon against blood ties to the land, each night replaying the slights in my mind, fueling a resolve that grew roots as deep as the oaks bordering our fields. 2 weeks post-clearance, she struck again, this time with a dawn raid from a county enforcer named Thompson, bleary-eyed and apologetic, meter in hand for a supposed racket violation before sunrise, my generator's familiar rumble. Part of the farm since the 60s, its vibrations a comforting constant, now deemed a crime against suburbia, and as he tested levels amid the chirping dawn chorus, I handed over stacks of proof, revenue slips hitting $160,000 yearly, registrations bound in twine, all screaming legit AG business exempt from such nonsense, the documents heavy with the weight of legitimacy. His chuckle at the futility of it all, calling her ordnance toothless here, a brief light in the tension, but then his sharp question about her pinpoint timing on complaints, how she nailed my busiest hours without fail, planted seeds of suspicion, like she was shadowing my every move. And sure enough, glimpses of her lurking behind curtains, her silhouette a persistent ghost, complaints timed to new installs or tests. It hit me hard. She was spying, turning neighborly into nightmare, my gut, churning with that protective rage, the one that flares when your world's under siege, visions of her binoculars glinting in the early light, haunting my thoughts. That's when Ava, sharp as her grandma, with eyes that missed nothing, flipped the idea. Let's watch back, legally, of course, and with simple wildlife cams along the edges, hidden among the foliage like silent sentinels, we caught gold. Her ritual dawn scans with high-end scopes, snapping shots, jotting notes like a detective on a case, footage that screamed obsession, grainy but damning. And showing it to Thompson shifted his face from duty-bound to disturbed, urging records for court, because this wasn't petty, this was calculated torment aimed at breaking a legacy, the revelation a turning point, igniting a fire in my chest that promised retribution. The solidarity kicked in next morning, 3 fellow growers showing up with steaming mugs and stories that mirrored mine. The Novak siblings with their livestock spread since the 70s, their faces weathered like aged leather, and Elena Ramirez, whose Spice Garden stocked city eateries, her hands stained with the vibrant hues of basil and thyme, all huddled around my scarred oak table. The scent of toasted grain bread blending with determination, swapping tales of Lauren's barges, din gripes on feeding times that disrupted their rhythms, swarm alerts on bees that pollinated their blooms, even challenging Elena's long-standing stall as illegal, the complaints a web of frustration shared over bites. We pieced her playbook, dig up dusty rules from forgotten archives, strike at peak chaos when vulnerability peaked, feign savior status with performative concern, but over bites of that warm loaf slathered in homemade preserves, it dawned. Her queries on expansions or sales weren't casual chit-chat. They were probes, subtle interrogations masked as neighborly interest, making ops so costly we'd bail. the legal fees draining like blood from a wound. And darker still, this felt funded, pro-level. Not lone wolf entitlement. Someone pulling strings to clear land cheap. The realization chilling the room like a sudden frost. Weeks on, she went for the jugular. My lifeline. The water. After a frantic call from a border pal about officials probing lines, his voice laced with urgency over the crackling line, I dashed over in the sweltering heat, sweat stinging eyes, boots pounding the parched ground, to find Inspector Garcia, no frills and thorough, waving a hefty grievance on siphoned aquifers breaching state codes, pages fluttering in the hot breeze. Lauren beaming like she'd won the lotto, her posture triumphant. Knowing water fights here are farmer killers, endless legal swamps even for the pure, capable of drowning operations in paperwork and doubt. But Grandpa's old-school vigilance saved the day, his legacy a shield against such assaults, leading Garcia to our dim cellar, musty with aged ledgers and preserved secrets, the air thick with the scent of yellowed paper and forgotten ink, pulling files heavy as history, sketched maps drawn by hand under lantern light, or permits stamped with official seals, meticulous tallies in his faded script, each entry a testament to foresight, proving unbroken use since 45, rights etched in stone. Before color TV, her jaw slack as she snapped pics with a camera that clicked like judgment, declaring it ironclad against any assault. The validation a rush of relief amid the tension. Lauren's triumph crumbled, her tearful plea as the lone lady fearing drought ringing hollow, her voice quivering with rehearsed emotion, especially since my flows hadn't budged in decades, steady as the seasons, and when Garcia demanded hard data over sobs, her tone firm like unyielding soil, Lauren blundered, ranting on obvious mega-farming drain, exposing her bias in a flood of words. Garcia coolly noting my modest scale versus her accusations, the discrepancy glaring, preliminary nod to my side sealing it, the retreat of her vehicle a symbolic victory. Digging deeper that night amid Grandpa's trove, hands trembling at mineral deeds from 45, brittle pages whispering secrets, a 89 assessment pegging subsurface riches at $2.8 million then, ballooned to $12 million now with gas hikes, the figures leaping off the page like buried treasure unearthed, realizing we held untouchable treasures below, veins of wealth that explained the desperation, and tracing Lauren's by the Countryside Investments Group, their corporate veil thin under scrutiny, uncovering their pattern. 15 farms scooped low across states via identical harassment. Coffee turning triumphant as I saw her as a hired gun for Shale Dynamics Incorporated, a drilling titan eyeing our veins for millions in extraction, irony thick. They couldn't snag minerals outright, so torment to force full sale, the scheme unfolding like a villain's plot in a dim-lit room. Calling my lawyer Alex Donovan late, voice buzzing with hypotheticals on corp schemes, the clock ticking past midnight, his hush turning to glee at the interstate web, whispering this was racketeering gold, federal-level takedown potential, his excitement crackling through the phone. Inspector callbacks confirmed fraud and complaints, patterns linking to half a dozen farms. Each false report a thread in the noose, paving for charges on fake filings. But Lauren upped ante Labor Weekend, targeting family. A text chilling me mid-load, crates heavy with the season's yield, schoolhead uneasy on concerns for Ava's safety amid hazards, the words a knife to the heart, rage boiling like never before. Her crossing into sacred ground, threatening my kid over baseless fears, the paternal fire roaring within. Guessing anonymous, but protocol demanded note. Yet Ava shone, notebook in hand over supper, her logs meticulous, stamped pics of Lauren's stakeouts captured in dawn's glow, legal audio of smears whispered to passers-by, social blasts deeming farms kid unfit with inflammatory rhetoric, timestamps proving premeditation, her post rallying faux outrage days pre-call, my pride swelling amid fury. This wasn't just defense. It was for our bond, her mom's echo in every fight, Ava's determination a beacon in the storm. Storming the principals with armor of certs, refs, history, the folder bulging with proof, he deemed it vendetta, filing as such, but Lauren petitioned rezoning to banish industrial threats. Hearing mid-harvest, the timing a cruel twist, forcing my shift to offense. unearthing Grandpa's gems while probing her corp ties, the late nights blurring into a quest for truth. Twist deepened in old wraps, full rights bundle, making seizure impossible, documents sealed with wax from another era, and her chain leading straight to Shale Dynamics execs, their playbook exposed in financial trails and leaked memos, laughter escaping as I grasped we'd trapped them with their own evidence, the tables turning in a satisfying pivot. War room assembled, kitchen buzzing with growers, counsel, board member Lisa Kane, her presence a pillar of authority, mapping Rico angles over steaming pots, Elena's fees from hits tallied like battle scars, Novak synced complaints post-surveys that had trucks rumbling like omens, Kane's audit tying to drilling bids with damning correlations, interstate echoes from allied attorneys, Grandpa's archives our shield, dense with details that fortified our case, their flaw in targeting. Untouchables birthing criminal trails that sprawled like unchecked vines. Plans set. Hearing ambush with coalition testimony. Media alerts. Feds lurking in shadows. But my ace hidden. More than farmer roots. A dual life veiled in secrecy. Eve before. Sabotage struck. Grinding screech piercing the night. Fluid pooling like blood under moonlight. Pump gutted precise. Harvest killer designed to cripple. But Cams nailed Lauren in glaring pink gear, fumbling tools at moonless hour, comedy in her bungle, the footage replaying like a farce. Sheriff Deputy Hayes arrived, chuckling at footage that lit up his screen, warrants flying swift as justice, her garage yielding matches still slick with evidence, claims of frames crumbling to video proof, her denials echoing hollow. Community rallied, Elena loaning parts from her shed, Novak's wrenching with familial grit. Turning wreck to upgrade amid shared resolve and stories swapped under the sun, her bonus idiocy, phoning my insurer on self-damage fraud, investigator flipping to pursue her federal lie with zealous pursuit. By dusk, system hummed anew, charges stacking, destruction, mischief, terror if intent proven, her spiral gifting us ammo that piled high. Hearing dawn, she hailed emergency probe, sirens blaring like war horns, crew storming for health crisis, vehicles kicking up gravel in a frenzy, but Leeds boss spotted prior Fed ties. Captain Garcia skeptical, debunking in minutes with methodical sweeps, vowing pursuit on false alarm abuse that wasted resources. Media tipped anonymously swarmed, expecting doom but getting conspiracy scoop, lenses flashing like stars, my address turning tides, reporters salivating as I teased hearing bombshell. The air electric with impending revelation. The district hall erupted into frenzy by noon, lot jammed with rigs, vans, growers seething like a powder keg ready to ignite, inside air thick with boots stomping on worn floors, murmurs rising to a crescendo of collective anger, Lauren poised with her high roller suits, radiating victory in tailored armor that screamed untouchable, her gaze dagger sharp, ready to bury me under an avalanche of fabrications. Kane hammered order, the gavel's crack echoing authority, petition for my land's shift to residential unfolding like a scripted drama, her counsel Crawford unleashing slideshow assault, doctored snaps enhanced with filters, graphs skewed with selective data, framing my heritage as toxic menace that poison the air and soil, commissioners absorbing the venom with furrowed brows, her smirk electric, a mask of impending triumph. Then Donovan rose, room tensing like a bowstring drawn, objecting this as criminal sham with evidence-laden folders, Deputy Hayes backing from the shadows, his uniform a symbol of law's reach, and I faced her, badge gleaming under harsh lights. Virginia State Patrol badge, Special Agent Ethan Caldwell, Rural Fraud Task Force, 6 months her unwitting pawn in building our case. The reveal a thunderclap that shattered her facade. Pandemonium, her pallor ghostly as blood drained, suits scrambling in hushed panic, shutters firing like gunfire. Kane demanding clarity amid the uproar. Her ops funded by Shale Dynamics in multi-state land grab via terror, charges cascading. Plot, stalking, vandalism, fakes, fraud, boxes spilling surveillance footage crystal clear, financial ties traced through labyrinthine accounts, proof unassailable. Her croak, your law? Met my nod. 20 years, 12 in AG crimes. Her gift the biggest bust yet, the words hanging heavy as the room absorbed the twist. Hayes cuffed her mid-collapse, The metals click final as a verdict, feds storming led by Agent Maria Torres, her team efficient as predators, warrants for 15 execs unfolding like a net, dismantling empire brick by brick. Kane axed petition, quipping federal lockup welcome with a wry smile, her devastation epic, justice sweeter than harvest ripe under summer sun. Half a year on, farm blooms eternal, like Grandpa's vision reborn, peaceful, bountiful, sans corpse shadows that once loomed, the fields alive with buzzing bees and swaying crops. Lauren Whitaker got 15 months federal time for scheme, deceit, torment, plus probation barring farm proximity within 40 miles. Her Mercedes auctioned off, a petty thrill each pass by the yard where it rusts forgotten. Shale Dynamics brass toppled. 15 charges, $42 million penalties, years behind bars and sterile cells, exposing hits on 180 families over 6 states, settlements securing legacies for ages, funds flowing like restorative rain. Ava, now 16, local hero for sleuthing that outshone pros, draws justice scholarships from prestigious halls, eyeing my path in guarding growers from suits, her future bright as dawn. The Caldwell Legacy Fund, from our cut, aids rural youth in eco-farming, law, green policy. 19 awarded, including Elena's kid pursuing botany, Novak's heirs in animal science, Hayes' kin aspiring counsel to defend the vulnerable. Kane drove the farm defense law, felony for AG harassment with stiff penalties, state fund for victims bolstering defenses, model for 5 more states adopting safeguards. Our tale headlined Rural Crime Review, Academy staple with case studies dissected, translated thrice for global reach, but true win. Farm booming, certs gleaming under audits, clients quadrupled via spotlight that turned notoriety to acclaim, supplying 50 spots across counties with premium yields. Irrigation purrs flawless post-solidarity fix, pipes singing with efficiency, vindication lingering like fine wine savored slow, strangers thanking for anti-bully stand in heartfelt notes and market chats. Elena's gardens span regions with upgrades, greenhouses gleaming, Novak's added 80 acres for prime beef, herds grazing content. Community forged unbreakable, bonds tempered in adversity, Grandpa's deer roaring dawn's triumph, its engine a hymn to perseverance, land shielded by deeds and statutes etched in law, ensuring generations ahead thrive unthreatened. Ava's field gazes echo his vigilance. For Caldwell's down, endless to come, our battle not just salvation, but shield for all rural kin nationwide, a legacy enduring like the earth itself. And there it ends, a hard-won peace, closure in the soil we defend. But tell me, was this payback fair, or does justice sometimes demand more? Where do you draw the line between defending family and seeking retribution? And in a world of power imbalances, is fighting back with the system the ultimate moral high ground, or just another form of war? Share your thoughts below. Your story might inspire someone else's stand.